Jared, you wanna come in? We'll talk about the vehicle maintenance. Let you start.
Okay.
And go through your budget message.
Don't read it all,
Oh, you don't want to?
please.
Okay.
Just some highlights.
Yeah,
Because we all read it, right, Commissioner?
Our revenues this year, for the annual purpose, we put three loads in and a transmission. I haven't, nothing else is changing except for the SOC adjustments. Our budget. But
So your ambulance revenues are about 40,000.
it was, last month, so by the end of the year, it's to be about 50,000.
So,
Yeah, total revenue per year.
and what about if we have to use any of the $100,000 emergency fund out of capital revolving?
We went over a couple areas of our budget, but I think if you find it's for stop supplies there. We were.
yeah, I can't hear you either. There you go.
So we went over in shop supplies and tools under 1,000 because we were stocking up the Riverton shop so they could run a little better.
Mhm.
Don't have to run to Napa.
Right. Okay. Your revenue total, you're reducing the budget from 40,000 to 38,500
Well, I'm just guessing on what we'll make.
with the ambulance.
Yeah.
It seemed like, does that seem low? It seemed like we used to make, I mean, not make, it seemed like the revenues were a little higher in the past.
So the 1 year we were 60,000,
Oh,
but it was before we bought the newer ones.
God,
And I think it was just all repairs and stuff.
I see.
Otherwise it's been around 40,000.
So in your line item, requests, are there anything that highlights? It's, well, the 2026 has increased by 28,000, 29,000,
For the budget request,
fleet maintenance and repair.
I didn't change anything from 2026.
Oh, okay, it's the same.
It's exactly.
I'm sorry,
No, gravity didn't like me, so
okay,
there was things mixed up.
right. Did you still have to get your big tires, heavy equipment tires for big horn tire?
That's where we've been getting them, yeah.
They're quite a bit cheaper or?
Cheaper and that they can get them here quicker than even RTO.
And do you still have the 5 and looking for, there's 5 of you now currently?
Yep.
And looking for a 6th, correct?
No, there's 4. There's 4 people who are looking for a pit. There'd be 2 mechanics in both Lander and Riverton, and I could bounce around and do what needs done.
They're foreman in Riverton, the superintendent, and the maintenance lead.
Because we let the one guy in Riverton go.
Oh, yeah. Was he a maintenance lead?
No, he was just a mechanic.
Okay. So you are needing one, just a mechanic?
Yes.
I shouldn't say just a mechanic.
Yeah.
and you've advertised?
Yeah, and we had 3 applications, but one didn't show up. One got a job, and then the other one is, who he's working for now, gave him more money, so he stayed. So,
Commissioners, questions? Why do this? So your overall budget is asking less than last year.
and the only thing that's not on here is what this morning's
Right.
increase, but I think Julie said that was from workman's comp or something. Those were different.
Why it went down,
Yeah,
worker comp did go down,
Yeah.
yes, for everybody.
Granted, it's only $2,000, but it's still
mhm.
less. Okay. Anything further, commissioners? Yes, not.
Okay.
Oh, I talked to you earlier today about putting in your budget for sandblasting and painting some of the belly dumps and some of the equipment that's,
Need painted.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't, because all we'd have to do is buy sand, because we have a blaster and a hood. And so sand and paint. That would be all we need.
Maybe before we finalize this, you can,
I think it would fit into my repair budget. Because I have quite a. When I did the budget, I think I had 74,000.
okay.
Right.
All right. Any training you have planned?
We've been going to cat trainings, but they haven't had any for the last couple of years that the public can come to, so I would like to do some of those, but gotta wait on them.
And all your subscriptions are good for as far as your diagnostic equipment and all that other stuff?
Yeah,
Right, well, if there's no question. Coming in.
thank you.
Sure.
I'll be here in about 10
Okay. Just,
minutes. Speeding, is he?
we're just waiting for the sheriff for all of
We're just waiting for the sheriff for all of them.
them. Okay.
He and the under sheriff, we told him 2 o'clock, so.
You wanna call, Chance? And see if he can come down? Can we do that, do we? Or,
If you guys have questions on your own budget for Mike, maybe put in the budget. You working on that yet?
No. Not the last minute yet. I actually just got numbers from Jeremiah as to what our dues are. I need to look at them. I got it because they had that meeting last week, so. Yeah, no,
I know.
rush into
So
that.
I know the Waco dues went up. You can call.
Did they? Yeah.
I know the Waco dues went up. And I kept that for Emma, and it seems like there was something else that I wanted to. Oh, she'll need a book. We're out of books now, so we're gonna have to start buying books. Those are like. Well, back in the day, they were $500 a piece. I'll bet I'm wrong about that now. They're probably $800,
Over these.
the big books.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we'll have a price. Digitize them and put them out for everybody to find them besides just here. I'm trying to think what else we had for you guys.
no answer, huh?
No, I didn't answer. We could do clerk of court.
That's kind of hard with their courts, and I know because the judge has a hearing, so she probably does too.
And district court would be the same.
Yeah, he barely will probably make the 4 o'clock because he's got court. You can just take a break if you wanted to.
15 minutes.
Okay.
Get some more, could.
Little break.
And my
Till
Sugar high.
sheriff arrives.
Afternoon.
Good. Go ahead. Start with the sheriff or?
Gonna start with the sheriff's budget, if that works.
Okay.
And did you get a revised copy of what was sent out Friday?
Yeah. Revenues and your line item sheet.
Right.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commission. Start with the sheriff's budget here. Last year's budget request was right at $5.076 million. This year, we're gonna see an increase of roughly $170,000, bringing the total request to $5.247 million. That total increase of $170,000, a majority of that's gonna come from the updated dispatching fees, which we'll get into here shortly. On the revenue ends, our projected return from the current fiscal year is quite high at the moment, roughly almost $500,000 that we're looking at returning back to the county general fund. However, I would explain that $192,000 of that was in salaries, $177,000 in insurance contributions, and $113,000 in retirement contributions, which come to a total employee cost of $385,000. Mr. Chairman, that was due to vacancies throughout the fiscal year in the sheriff's office enforcement division. So if we take that out, the $385,000, that leaves us at a roughly $105,000 that this budget is over. However, I can tell you that we will be returning that we will be spending at least $21,000 in equipment prior to the end of this fiscal year. So the realistic number that we're looking that we overshot this budget by a $5 million budget is approximately $84,000.
Not 5 million, 500,000. Correct?
No, 5 million.
A $5 million budget, we're roughly at $84,000.
You're on the right track.
So we're cutting it right down to the wire there. If we would have been fully staffed, that would have been the return, obviously, that you would be seeing. So the overall operational trends with the sheriff's office budget, what impacts this budget, obviously the most is employee cost, our fuel consumption, and then overtime cost, generally due to unanticipated expenditures or things that are going to occur where we have to have a large scale incident or something like that, where it's gonna drive up those overtime costs. And it seems to be here lately in the last couple fiscal years, the rentals. Our rentals, they'll either way up or way down. This year, we've seen a significant decrease in our rental payments. And we'll get to that here shortly. With respect to revenue, we continue to have contracts with other governmental agencies to provide services, Forest Patrol and school districts. I think that's in the budget message with both Wind River and the DuBois School District. And we're waiting to bill approximately $63,000 to those entities prior to the end of the fiscal year. Last year, if you recall, we brought up charges to conduct fingerprinting as a way to gain additional revenue. We implemented that at the start on July 1st. We budgeted, we thought perhaps $55,000 in income. Right now, as of this month, we're only sitting at $13,000 in income off those fingerprinting fees. They seem to have decreased considerably. I think that the school districts were able to get some way of doing fingerprints without going to the sheriff's office. So, or a local law enforcement source. So, there's that as well. In our service fees, $19,000 out of anticipated $30,000. That's our paper service fees. I actually see that probably going to be up to that $30,000 range at the end of this fiscal year. With respect to line item increases in this budget, we'll have 7 employees receive step increases this next fiscal year. Those are in line with our approved salary scale, and they are prorated in the budget by anniversary month. The dispatching fees is also an on-item increase with an internal amount of $140,000 in additional dispatching fees that we'll have to pay for next fiscal year. The fuel consumption, we estimate at 51,000 gallons a year.
based upon the cost per gallon provided by the, Mr. Ballman, I believe it was, that increase will be roughly $55,000 on top of our fuel costs this upcoming year. Line item decreases, actually were employee costs, a decrease of $16,000. That's due to attrition throughout the agency with older, longer serving deputies leaving or retiring and us hiring new deputies back at that lower salary scale. So we see that, that attrition happen there and see the decrease in that line item, of course. Just operational supplies, we had a slight decrease in $4,000, and the rentals actually decreased $30,000 this coming fiscal year. Our contractual services are in line with all our standard requests, including our mental health initiative at $3,000, and we continue to pursue grants with highway safety and YDOT as well with our traffic enforcement. Mr. Chairman, that's a quick overview of the sheriff's budget, and I'll stand for any questions.
Questions, commissioners? Yes,
Yes, Chairman.
yes.
Oh, okay, so in your budget message, you talked about, yes, I think you did, maybe I made it up. And then I lost it. Oh, I know where it was. Maybe it's in one of your other budgets, I'm sorry, I thought there was something in there. Oh, it was dispatch. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong budget. I was just remembering it from one of the budget messages, so it's not in here. Never mind.
Any questions for the sheriff's budget?
Missed it, but
Oh,
one more question. Rentals, that's our rental through the treasurer,
Correct, that's rentals paid in
Yeah.
the capital revolving.
Okay, okay.
that has not been updated, but as soon as I get that, I'll change that for them. On your telephone fees, is that your cell phones or did you guys try to calculate what the new cell phones? I'm just trying to keep track so that we're doing the same for everybody.
I believe that.
So the cell phone is included in that, Mr. Chairman. There actually was no increase in pricing with switching over from Union to T-Mobile. And then that increases just movement and money as well.
So it's the stationary phones in your agency. Okay, I'm just keeping track, so that's all I needed. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, one more question. So is there anything left out of here that you're planning on? That you, like, something coming up that you know that's coming up, but you didn't put it into the budget? Is it's gonna stay the same? So, because things change over the next couple of weeks and stuff, and if something pops in, I just gonna.
It would be nothing significant,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
But there may be some things we ran. I think the clerk just indicated that the rental payments aren't calculated in the current budget.
Right,
We thought they were, so that would be something that may change. But I don't see anything significant changing in this budget.
yeah, and
Unless we were to do employee increases, obviously, and that's another discussion and talking with the clerk, I believe we're gonna get together on that
Okay.
down the road.
a couple of years ago, we went through salary adjustments. Where are we positioned across the other counties now for our deputies in terms of salary? Where do we sit?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have that information right in front of me, but I would believe that when we were looking at them the other day, we were all within the 20th percentile, some of those into the 30th percentile. With reference to other counties, there is a study out there that I can get a hold of and look at that information, but I haven't looked at it here recently and I couldn't answer that question today.
Okay, sure. I'd be interested in that just because when we made that adjustment, we were like ranked 22 out of 23. And to see if we just stayed there and everybody else came up, or did we make any movement against that? And especially in light of the SOCs that you are budgeting for and the ranking and stuff like that. So I just want to kind of keep a reference of where we sit against other counties.
You bet. I think we were ranking at around number 10 in the state, but that's gonna change
Yeah.
because all the other counties are in this process right now as well. So, but I will get that information to you tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate it. That's for everybody.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
Anything else on the sheriff's budget? Okay.
Okay, I don't think I have the right. Because you mentioned 2.2 something, I mean 5.2 something. I still have 5.1.
And I hear one over there.
I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and give you the adjusted one, so the change was in this. And I'll have Julie.
Oh, we can just write copies of the.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll run.
That's the new one, Mike? That's the new one?
Just the.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
So is it, you want that? Thank you, yeah. Well, I think you would.
That's fine.
All right.
Sorry.
Next one.
So you're on detention.
Yeah.
We'll be moving on to detention if that works.
Okay,
Lieutenant Hudson will be joining us from
welcome.
for this.
You ready? Really?
Mr.
Who's
Chairman.
turning to get, who's turning the spit this time?
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, with reference to our detention budget, last year's request was roughly $5.4 million. This year, we're seeing an increase of roughly 206,000, bringing the total request to 5.629 million. We're looking at a projected return from the current fiscal year of roughly $100,000. I can tell you that in the past, over the past several years, fiscal years, that number was always quite higher, and we adjusted that considerably. But that is a very close number, I believe, for a $5.5 million budget to come in that close to the number there.
Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate that, I know, because when it was so off before, we're budgeting for you and you're missing that by $1 million. And then we make decisions based on that number we think we're gonna have to spend, which we didn't have to spend. So I appreciate the effort that went into getting that a little bit closer number, and we realize it's not gonna be perfect science.
Mr. Chairman, as I go through this, you'll see that, a lot of that, a lot of the money that was returned in the last past fiscal years, a lot of that was due to, the medical loan item that we did
Yeah.
not spend, but there's been years we had to spend $400,000 and years we only had to spend $98,000. So it's up to us to, I think as a commission and as the sheriff's office, to budget accordingly with what we think that number should come in as, but we can discuss that here as we go down through the budget. Currently, the budget is 80%, overall is at 80% expended, 83% of the fiscal year lapsed. So it's right on the fence there. The overall operational trends of this budget are based upon the number of inmates housed and their classification, which has a direct correlation to expenses. We base this on 40-day inmate average every day for an entire year. We're looking at a roughly 15,000 a day overhead cost. That's up from about $1,000, up $1,000 a day from some years prior, or $110 per inmate per day.
Or is that just to increase inflation?
Inflationary increases through this budget, and we'll talk about it, or we can talk about it now, but we're not the only entity in the county, but that gets supplies. I mean, we're paying for food and things that are getting used and stuff, and we, as the inflation occurs and whatever, those prices drive up, whether it's food, whether it's toothpaste, toilet paper, you name it. Those are the things we have to deal with when you're taking care of 140 people every single day. Their every single need cost $110 a day per person, per inmate to get that done. That's the entire overhead cost with deputy salaries and so forth as well. Overtime, that's an operational trend. Overtime really hits us and is based upon overpopulation, staff shortages, trials and transports that we may have, and so forth. And then, of course, the inflation and what I just talked about. With the prisoners' board and food cost, over the last 3 years, we've increased that line item roughly 15%. And currently, we're sitting at a remaining $90,000 for the rest of the fiscal year, which is about 80%. When the budget's 80% at 83% of the fiscal year elapsed. Excuse me. I'm gonna leave this line item as it is and work through it into the next fiscal year. With that said, revenue, currently we set at about $385,000, which is about $66,000 less than we anticipated. The anticipated revenue will remain the same. Currently, we've brought in $170,000 in commissary and telephone commissions. Telephone commissions at $67,000. We brought in $300,000 in federal, state, and local inmate housing. Again, with a grand total of right around $385,000 brought into the county general fund. As I spoke about when we started the inmate medical and hospitalization services, that is a totally unanticipated cost to the county. The current budget is set at $130,000. I believe last year we had it set at roughly $230,000. And there's been years before where we've had it upwards of $300,000. So currently remaining this fiscal year, we have $22,000 left in that line item, and it is at 83% of the year fiscal year remaining. Well, last year at this time, we had only expended $92,000. Again, it's totally unanticipated. My suggestion is to leave it at the same, have a number in there, and if something catastrophic happens, or if there's an overrun, we're just gonna have to do a budget infusion because it is up to the county to pay those costs. But I do believe we need to have some sort of a good number in there to cover those. Line item increases, I'm sorry. Employee cost, additional $115,000, including benefits, with being fully staffed. Decreases, very, very minor, just $3,000 in office supplies and fuel. With the employees, 3 employees, we'll see step increases this next fiscal year. I'm sorry, 6. And they're again with our approved salary distribution, and will be happening prorated as they come about when those anniversaries occur. Mr. Chairman, in my budget memo, my budget message, I indicated that we were going to be coming to the table today to talk about an additional full-time cook to be added to our detention staff, and as well as discussion regarding increases for our 2 nurses in the detention center who have had stagnant pay for several years now. The full-time cook would be a total of $71,000 in total employee costs. And the salary increases for the 2 nurses would be $2,000 each in raises. Now, I have not, this is not in the budget, Mr. Chairman. This is for presentation here today. But I did not put it in the budget that you're looking at today. It's something for you to discuss.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, did you say the 71,000 was including fringe? Because in the message you said not including fringe.
No, it is including fringe, I'm sorry.
Oh, because it says does not include fringe.
I apologize, I
Okay.
forgot to delete
All right.
that.
Well, I got it. Mine says does,
Well, the cook
this
says
does
does,
include
and
fringe.
the nursing
Is
does.
that what it says? No, it does say that.
Yeah.
Never mind. I can't read.
I gotta have these.
I got them, but it didn't help me. Sorry about that. My brain didn't work. So, question for you on the nurses. Have you done any kind of an SOC analysis on where their wages are? Because typically, if we're gonna make some adjustments like that, we've been going through the SOCs and see where they fit, and then we have levels, at least we all do. And I think you do for some of your other folks, but we're typically looking for that when we make salary adjustments. If we think they're behind, we have to have some data back in that.
You bet. And I can get you that data. We have looked at that.
Okay. So backup information, and they've had reviews as well, the personnel reviews.
Correct. And right now we're attempting to hire another nurse. We have a vacancy at this moment. So, yes, we have looked at that. They are on the higher end of the SOC. But we looked at and contacted other counties and have looked at that as well, and I will get you that information. I just wanted to bring it to your attention today that we are looking at that hopefully being able to hire an additional cook and get the nurses some raise. Now, this may be something that's, you know, if we, when we meet to discuss employee raises or SOC adjustments or whatever down the road, that will be taken care of at that point in time, but I can get you that information for sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, so Julie, the SOC budget that we put in this year, was that for us and the sheriff's department, or was that just outside the sheriff?
No, everybody,
So everybody, so, we do have, and we've been talking about this because people are starting to come in. In this budget year, we have $300,000 budgeted for SOC increases. And since it's so late in the year, we're not gonna use a ton of that. But I would suggest you guys go through, and if you've got SOC adjustments that you wanna make, let's get them done this month and bring us back the information, and Julie can provide what everybody else is bringing, you know, so you can see how they're justifying those, because we kind of have a process there.
and I think, I'm guessing that Emma has sent that over to the sheriff. Have you done the sheriff's one yet? Yeah, so she's already sent over the SOCs, which should have the nurses in them.
Right.
So unless the nurse is something different than what we have, then we just need to have some discussion on that as well. And then just to clarify, it is an additional cook, right, at the 39,500? Okay,
Yes,
okay,
That's for next year.
okay.
yes.
That would hire after.
Right.
But but you should be looking at the SOCs right now and see if you want to make some of those adjustments inside this budget, because we budgeted for it.
We will do that.
Okay.
And I will be back in front of you to go through.
Okay, yeah,
that stuff.
absolutely.
Let's speak to the nurse.
Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you?
Just real briefly. Hi, sorry. So with the nurse, we're in a kind of a delicate position right now. We lost one nurse because we failed to get any kind of raise like last year. I know the SOCs, she's right now our nurses are rated, yeah, towards the top of it, kind of. However, we have kind of a particular situation as far as we don't want to lose our last nurse. She's been struggling along for many months now by herself.
Mm,
We have had barely any applicants, none with the kind of experience that we're looking for in order to take on this kind of task. I'm not sure if the SLCs as they are in the present state reflect detention center nurses. And if they do, I doubt that it's a detention center where the nurse is by herself for most of the time. I mean, she'll have a deputy with her when she's doing her job, but most places that are big enough to have multiple nurses have like crews of them, and they're 24 hours a day. And so there's always a team working on it, whereas ours are kind of running solo by themselves. They're doing sick call, they're doing med passes, they're deciding when and if people should be sent up to the hospital. They're doing intake triage, I think would be the best way to describe it when people come into booking and they have injuries as far as going up. So they have a very difficult job, and I'm not sure that the SOCs necessarily reflect the level of risk and work that our particular nurses are facing over there. So we really want to get a second nurse again, so that we have somebody on 7 days a week, and we don't want to lose the one we have. That's why we're kind of very nicely asking.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, so I would suggest you sit down with Julie, and there's no hard and fast science on this SOC business, because our descriptions don't match the world as it is, and the world doesn't match our particular unique characteristics. And so I'd suggest you sit down and talk about some of the challenges of that, and then that can be a part of the conversation. But take another look at Are they in the right classification? Is there another element to this? Some classifications are blended. We just went through this with our GIS coordinator. Part of what he does is this, part of what he does is that, and they're not necessarily in the same description. So we realized that. I would say just sit down and walk through that and talk about your unique situation, and then come back and just build us a case. And we've gone outside of that in the past to do the right thing, if we're not being competitive with locals. So we may be okay with the SOCs, but we don't, with truck drivers, we went through this, so, it's, but Julie's the one, sit down and walk through the whole scenario and, cause she's pretty good at understanding where we are with those salaries and those SOCs and all of that stuff.
And Mr. Chairman, Emma is also, sometimes it's not easy to get hold of me. She's been putting all this together and she'd be excellent also to
Yes.
help with someone.
Correct. And to reiterate, in our current pay scale, the nurses don't have a step increase. It was never built in. That is set and approved by the sheriff. Because they're at the higher end of the SOC
Okay.
spectrum. So that's something that we have to look at from time to time. Because obviously when someone's working for you for 3 or 4 years, you want to eventually give them a raise. So,
Sure.
and that's where we're at with this.
Okay.
At this current time.
And maybe we terminate something else. We're kind of particular about the SOC, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, and about how we're dealing with the SOC adjustments. And maybe this is something else, and that's fine. We just want to make sure that program of SOC review is consistent as it can be throughout the county. So,
And I would totally agree. I know that we have worked very hard as elected officials over the last several years on SOCs. I know we began working on them 10 years ago before I was even elected as sheriff. So
okay,
it's something that, yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Babbling on it, as I do.
Continuing, Mr. Chairman, our budget is in line with the service agreements with the standard request. Contractual services will continue our contract with our medical director, Dr. Dusty Hill. Dr. Hill, that's $70,000. And then our various contractors such as our PAs, nurse practitioners, and our mental health provider. There's no change in those contractual services coming into the next fiscal year. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that is the detention center budget.
Questions, commissioners? Question. Okay. Julie, got anything? Okay, dispatch.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, are you looking? We don't do a very good job sometimes, but you say, I want to add that position, I want to budget this in. Sometimes we don't have a second conversation and
So, Mr. Chairman, I try to keep track of all of that stuff from all of these things. I'll mark down. Sheriff came in and this is what they asked for, and we need to decide if you're gonna let them do it. I mean, unless you tell them here at the table. I do try to keep track of that, and at the end, we go through all
so
of
we
them.
go through all of them together and then decide yay or nay.
Yeah, I mean, if you decide to let them have something today, that's fine. I mark it down and say, we approved it and we can put
That's
it in
fair.
and.
I just want to know kind of what our process is, because I hate hanging chads.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a lot of those
Chad.
this year, so yeah, I've got a lot of
All right.
notes for you.
Okay, thank you.
Search and rescue.
Oh.
No, curveball.
Dispatch.
Yeah, dispatch.
We can do dispatch right now. No problem.
We all,
Can I get a-
just. All right, got it.
Okay,
Dispatch it is.
dispatch it is. Mr. Chairman, the anticipated revenue for the dispatch budget of fiscal year 26-27 is comprised of 911 surcharge fees at 75 cents per wireless device, which is estimated to bring in roughly $330,000. Our external dispatch user fees are estimated at $891,000. Our internal dispatch user fees estimated at $547,000. And miscellaneous interest, I guess, is estimated at $4,500. The proposed budget for the dispatch center is $1.7 million, 1.77, with an estimated revenue of 1.78 million. Uh, Budget changes from last year, as you can go down through there and look, external fees, it was increasing to 229,000, internal fees, 150,000. Those are spread against our end users, with the external fees being county fire, the Lander Police Department, Shoshone Police Department, and those internal fees being, the sheriff's office, the coroner, emergency management, the internal fees from the county general fund itself. Expenditures, we've seen a $23,000 increase in salaries, a $10,000 increase in service agreements, and a $10,500 decrease in telephone. Those two numbers, the 10,500 in service agreements and telephone, those are just some actuals. You know, looking at the budget, we just switched some money around because one was getting utilized more than the other.
What do we do, equipment repair? I know there's been a lot of discussion about servers and computers and consoles and stuff
Right.
being outdated, and we can't get the proper upgrades because the system is, in some areas, is too old. Does that include any upgrades at all in it?
Yes and no. I guess the answer is yes. If you recall, 7 years ago, we did a major upgrade to the Spillman system. That's a lease amount, and we paid roughly $225,000 a year for that project. Our last payment date will be in August of this year. That's that last payment for the lease on the 7-year upgrade that we did. Now, that upgrade coincidentally worked very well for us for a number of years. It was supposed to work for 7 years, but Motorola didn't give us the proper server or equipment in that server to make it last that full 7 years. It's not compatible with the new stuff that needs to be downloaded on it, such as the new Spillman software and so forth, and those upgrades. We are entering into another lease option with Motorola in August of this year, as soon as we pay off this last lease, to, again, re-update the servers and go forward with Spillman with that update. I can tell you that we've talked to at least a couple of people, professionals, very professional in this field, that deal with these types of things with very large dispatch centers. And they said any modern dispatch center nowadays, you're going to be paying a lease to Motorola, period. You can't afford the equipment outright, and it's always going to be changing, and you're going to be paying lease payments to them from here on out to keep up with things.
When do you start negotiation talks with them?
Next, I think for sure next month.
Mr. Chairman, we already have, we have some things scheduled, next month. We're in the process of, working with both salesmen and, network engineers to finalize the system and try to future-proof it as much as we can. We know that we can't completely, but just to ensure that we don't end up kind of in the same boat that we're in now. We want to future-proof it and make sure that we're, going through everything very carefully. And then in addition to that, adding in some features that'll add, some capabilities to integrate with the Riverton Police Department, to give us some more redundancy in what we have now. So they're working through that process right now with both engineering and the salesman.
And you have no idea what the cost.
We've had some ballparks, but it's constantly in flux. It's constantly changing. So, we would anticipate our lease payment to be less than what our lease payment is now, because that original, the lease payment that we're paying now was based on a larger system upgrade. So this is just one component of what that original purchase was. So this is, we expect it to be a much smaller payment year to year. With inflation, obviously, that portion has gone up considerably from what we paid then.
but it should still be less than what we're paying now when it's broken out. If we decide to go with a lease payment option, when it's broken out over years, it should be less than we're paying now. Per year, per
Less
year.
than the 247 or
Yeah.
whatever the amount.
225
225.
roughly.
So with that being said, does that include the Spillman software?
Correct,
that'll
so
be
that's-
another negotiation.
So that is hardware as well as software. And that's the problem we're facing right now. Our hardware is not compatible with the software upgrades, and our current hardware are not compatible.
So will,
And that's oversimplification, but that's basically what it is.
so will Motorola work a different contract with Spielman to include that into the new lease agreement?
Yes, the prices that we're looking at are for the total package. So Motorola owns Spillman.
Oh, convenient.
Yes.
Wow. So, and sorry, well, to hog the conversation, but so the revenue coming in from external would be 891,962, correct? So we've had conversations in the past and at some of the communications meetings that, part of the issue with the shortfall in dispatch is because of our contract with the ambulance.
Right.
And where is in order for us to make dispatch service whole, is that the 891,962?
The full amount that, the ambulance would pay is included in that. So the ambulance is, and you can see that Fremont County ambulance service on here is 415,000 of that. And I think,
Of the 891.
yeah.
And it, Mr. Chairman, over the years, that is where the shortfall came.
Right.
It's from the ambulance not paying that full amount and it not being pulled out from the general fund to keep the account solvent over the period of the contract, which I believe has been, 5 years now?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been this 5th year.
Yeah.
And that's included in the 891, correct?
Yeah, the whole amount, this whole 415,000 is included in that 891,000.
Mr. Chairman, so kind of curious, if you take Frontier out, what's the percentage increase to the other, so the Lander, Fremont Fire?
So you can see in this last little green box right here.
But that's
It's got the
2020.
total. Yeah, so that it's based off the calls for service that ended December 31st, 2025.
No, sorry, I'm like, so. So you have about a 34% increase from the 662, 469 in 2026 budget. And then full year,
Yeah, so what they're billed on is an average of 3 years, but just the year alone is what's in the 2025 box. If that makes sense.
okay,
So they take the average of 23, 24, 25, their average percent of the events is compared to what the total expenditures is what they owe.
I'm trying to get a feel for, Mr. Chairman, trying to get a feel for what Lander and Fire, what kind of increase they're gonna see.
Yeah, so
Dollar amount, I don't care about
I
cost.
mean, I have the sheet from Carl last year that has what they owed the year prior, compared to what they owe now, and Lander PD's is another large increase along with the sheriff's office and the ambulance.
What's the number?
So even with,
So it's hard to get at because you're averaging constantly, is that challenge?
Yeah, so averages every year, but last year Winter Police paid, if this is correct, 248,000, and this year they're gonna pay 354,000, so. 354, 136 is what they're gonna owe this year, and last year it looks like they paid 248, 772, so
So 150.
105,000, a little over. Some of the smaller agencies just went up a little bit, but the bigger agencies.
what about
25% increase.
What about, if that includes even if with the ambulance service making it whole again, that increase would still be,
Correct, yeah, so what the users are billed on are the actual expenditures from the fiscal year prior. So they went from, the actual expenditures went from 1.3 million to 1.7 million, which is where that increase was.
but with went from 1.3,
Yeah, and it looks like last year it was budgeted at 1.7,
it was budgeted
at 1.7 million.
and so that was an increase of 1.3 to 1.7.
Yeah, it's almost 1.4, 1. Yeah, closer to 1.4 than 1.7.
And you expect it to go up again to,
We estimated it to be right about the same this year as last year.
So I think we're talking maybe two different budgets. We're talking the operational budget for the dispatch facility. And then we have the actual revenue account that the treasurer runs, obviously, because this is what they call the revenue account. So as you recall, that account's roughly $200,000 shy on revenue due to the Frontier not paying their full amount in user fees, which is not their issue. I mean, that was their contract. They paid in full. But my understanding is if the dispatch fund was brought whole again, these numbers would probably go down. Because
well, and that's where I'm getting at. If we make it whole again with the 415,000, it should be whole again, and the price should, I mean, the participation, the people who are putting into it currently, their price should either stay the same.
yes, Mr. Chairman, in years past, we always had a surplus in front.
Right.
And that's why we started billing for services actually rendered. So we started billing for services that were actually rendered the year prior. Prior to that, we were looking at, okay, what's the budget in the cost as a whole? And then bill out that way. Well, we'd have a surplus at the end of the year because we'd be short-staffed. So we just take that surplus, leave it in the actual revenue account and give it back to give them a discount on their user fees for the next year. That hasn't happened in several years because, again, we changed the matrix of how we're billing. And two, we've had this shortfall from Frontier entities. I believe Under Sheriff Hutchinson can probably explain it better than anybody here at the table, since he is on the committee. No pressure.
So Mr. Chairman, the dispatch committee formulated the current matrix for cost share several years ago. If you recall, there was some consternation from county fire, which resulted into kind of reformulating that dispatch committee, getting everybody back to the table, giving everybody a voice at that table. The current formulation, it was what was decided by the committee, and it's a little bit, I guess, confusing because the usage is based on a calendar year from January 1 to December 31st. The budget obviously runs on a fiscal year from July 1 to the end of June.
the fees are assessed based on actual usage during that 12-month calendar year, based on the previous year's actual approved budget. So the numbers that we're seeing now are based on last year's approved budget of $1.7 million. So they're being billed for their usage during fiscal year 25-26, but only from January to December. So when Lindsay has worked up these percentages of actual usage, it's for that calendar year, January to December, based on the budget, the total overall operating budget of the fiscal year. So when this budget was presented to the dispatch committee a year ago, the numbers that they saw for their upcoming year of service were based on the previous years, which was 1.3. That year, due to SOC changes, the budget increased significantly, a couple $100,000 up to 1.7. So the fees that are being assessed now are based on last year's approved budget. Their usage during that time frame in that budget year. If that helps muddy the water anymore than it already was. So that's why we're seeing this year a significant increase, was because of the budget and those SOC changes that went into last fiscal year's budget, the one that we're currently in, not the upcoming budget. So estimates are based on the upcoming budget. Actual billing is based on last year's budget. But it's split in half, because one is fiscal year from July 1 on, and the usage. And the reason that was done, the committee decided to do that so that the dispatch supervisor could figure the actual usage during the current time frame. Because when we began discussions each year in the spring, if the year had not finished yet, we wouldn't have a total number of actual usage. So we cut the usage off in December, so it runs from January to December. And that's what the billing is based on.
So,
And that was the formula that was decided by the dispatch committee with, representatives of each user agency.
so if the revenues, I mean, if we continue to get $337 from the EVO 911 surtax, and then the 10,000 from the prepaid wireless, and if dispatch or the ambulance would be made whole at the 415,000, then what's the internal sheriff's dispatch revenues internal?
That's the sheriff's office, the coroner's office.
Oh, that's
Emergency
county.
management.
Yeah,
That's internal accounts that come out of the general.
so that would bring it down to 1.787, and total revenues would be 1.439.
So we take the actual expenditures minus those surcharge fees.
Oh, minus the surcharge.
And then what is left is the 1.4, and then it's divided amongst by their average of calls.
Just looking at it. I mean, if you had said that if we made it whole again, there would be enough revenues to cover the expenses.
Well, Mr. Chairman, again, and I'm not an accountant, but, and that budget is very, very difficult for, I think, anybody to understand. I mean, obviously Jim understands it very well. But with that $200,000 shortfall in there, that's gotta be causing some sort of rigmarole with, depreciation funds and things that are figured into all this. So I think that's a question for him. I think he spoke about it, well, not briefly, but I think we had a very good conversation the other day and found out exactly where we were and why we were in the position where we were at. But I would suggest that, I wish he was maybe here today, but that, we continue to look into this and, I don't know what the commission is going to do with the upcoming contract with Frontier. I know there was a misunderstanding, that went to them and a letter came back to you to start with, but, I'm glad we got that sorted out, but, I would assume that there has got to be some sort of, well, by adding that funding in there, we're gonna see some decreases somewhere. Right.
Questions, commissioners? And I'm sure Jim will look at this and maybe he can explain it. Or I can explain it, would be a miracle. But, okay. Any questions, commissioners?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think we should explore some scenarios with Jim and have at least a couple of you here to talk about, because we've been throwing ideas out. We could bring some general fund money over to make that, bring it current, and then talk about next year, about how we want to see that, whether we're going to be involved. If, let's face it, if we give an increase to Frontier, our subsidy is going to go up by that much. So, it's just a hand shuffle at that point. So, but I think we should try to get that resolved within the next couple of weeks so that we all go into the budget and saying, we know where we're at and can project a simpler future. I think that's complicated everything and I get that, but that's my suggestion.
I think that's.
Yes.
Okay.
Briefly. The search and rescue budget. More changes in that budget. It is overspent, as you're aware, due to helicopter flight time. We had to, infusion into that budget. And we knew that may happen, due to the fact that the Search and Rescue Council doesn't want the other counties to pay our helicopter flight time. And they submit it, we have to submit it ourselves and pay that bill. So prior to that, we weren't doing that. From here on out, we will be. So we're gonna see higher cost in helicopter flights, but Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we keep the same number in there, so we just have a number in there. It's not very much. However, I recommend we just keep it the same, and if we have issues, then we infuse the budget. There's also other things to look at there. I mean, if it's a mission where it's a fatality and the county has to pay for that, maybe the coroner should have a line item in her budget to pay for those expenses. Because it really has nothing to do with the sheriff's office other than it's our search and rescue volunteers who are performing the task. However, we're having to pay the flight cost. It's coming out of the same place. I just don't know if we're the best place to budget. And I don't want to put $100,000 in there when it's reimbursable expenses. If we just had a placeholder in there, I think we'll be fine. That makes.
Mr. Chairman. So I think the way that we discussed that earlier this year is if you know that you're having one of those and you just let me know so that I can be prepared to put money in. Also, I was just asking Emma, we just advertised as required to do this SRS. What did we put in for? This would be usually put like 15,000 in there just as a placeholder, and I'm not sure if that's the number we put again, but that also still that SRS money can be used as long as it's on Forest Service BLM property. So I don't want to mess up with when you guys get reimbursements from the council either, but I think last time I think Jim maneuvered it to use that up in this one, and then you guys went and got some of that reimbursed. For the coroner, they can't go to the council, right? Because if it's a recovery, then we really do use the SRS money for that.
And it depends. It can be a recovery that's ongoing with an actual search and rescue mission. So let's say we're using a helicopter, we find this person and they're deceased. That's a search and rescue. Just because they're deceased doesn't mean the search and rescue council isn't gonna pay for it. We've done our due diligence and so forth. Let's say it's an instance where it's highly technical recovery and only certain equipment can be used to get in there and make that happen. A lot of times those are also covered
If
by
it's
the
just,
council.
if it's just a recovery, then, I mean, if search and rescue finds deceased person and their mission is to go, and then need the coroner to come in, and the coroner goes in, and she has to, like the sheriff said, order the equipment, specialized service, or another helicopter to go in and retrieve the deceased person, that is not reimbursable.
And that definitely is reimbursable by the SRS. So when we find this, Jim had her put a certain number in here. So anyway, we have that always, and if you can't use it for that, which is not, I mean, nice, we don't have to use it for that. There is some training and equipment that as long as you train on, again, US Forest Service and BLM, or use that equipment in those areas, then we can help with that. So I know when Jim and I and Emma were talking about this last week, we want to make sure we got with the sheriff's office and utilize this fund a little bit better.
So if we have, you're saying that if,
So we put in 15,000 again because we didn't realize that advertised last week, so we just left it at 15. But we do have money in that fund beyond that that's carried over. So I think the big message is here is if we communicate, hey, we had to have a helicopter. This is what I think we're gonna do, Amanda can let us know or whatever. And then we just, if I need to do a budget transfer, then it just takes me like 2 weeks to get that done generally, so.
Mr. Chairman, I also would say that this isn't just for helicopter flight use. I mean, we may have an extended search for somebody who's drowned. The first 3 days, the search and rescue council is probably gonna pay for those costs. But if it goes into day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, the county is gonna be paying for those costs.
Oh, that's good to know.
Because they're, at that point, we're no longer trying to find them and rescue them. They're presumed, once basically we make the determination that they're presumed deceased, then the county's on the hook to pay for the rest of that mission. And that could be a search in the wilderness as well. Or a downed aircraft.
so, one other question, kind of a sidebar, but it was brought to vehicle maintenance that search and rescue wanted to buy a new vehicle. And, the other one, as far as running and driving, I mean, granted, it had some age on it, but it's still a viable vehicle. And search and rescue said, well, we're just gonna buy one anyway. And that's what he called me. He says, don't they have to go through me to get a new vehicle? And I said, well, I'm assuming so, but we haven't heard any requests for a new vehicle.
Correct. Not that I'm aware of. I can tell you that some of our organizations, search and rescue groups have their own money and they do purchase things from time to time. Maybe that's what they're talking about, but we would definitely like to entertain visiting with them about that because generally when they buy something, we want it to become a county asset. So for insurance and maintenance. So I think that he should be involved in that because I don't think we want to go buy something that's known to have all the fuel injectors go out of it every 10,000 miles.
Right,
Or
and
something.
and that's what he said. He said, well, I can understand it if it was constantly broke down. There were some issues or you couldn't trust it with the, going out on a mission. But he said, oh, ultimately, this is a good serviceable vehicle. And maybe you didn't know anything about it.
I don't.
was involved a little bit at the early stage of that conversation, and I did tell our search and rescue members to get with Jared and discuss it with them.
And I don't know where that's at, or where that is. What they were gonna try to pursue some donations, and we have accepted donated vehicles before that become county assets, and just like Sheriff Lee and you just discussed, in order to license, insure, maintain, you know, a vehicle, the county, it has to be a county asset. And I'm search and rescue is aware of that. And they were just looking to kind of, my understanding is that they were looking to upgrade to a little bit newer vehicle with a little bit more capability. But I did send them to Jared to have those discussions, and I don't know where that's at between the two of them.
Well, I haven't heard anything for several months, so.
Mr. Travel,
Yes,
since they aren't county employees, could they maybe go through the sheriff's department and request those? Because I am worried that we are going to, because we are gonna set up an asset policy too, that'll probably require that. It makes me worried because I sit here and think about, I haven't talked to Michael, he's been doing our warm, insurance stuff, and right, it used to be very simple, it's not anymore. So if something comes in, we have to immediately put it on, or it's not insured, and we take the other one off, or we continue to pay it. So it's a constant roller coaster of stuff in our office. So I want to make sure that they are covered for sure, and that we aren't, or that we're not paying for something that we've taken off too. So if they could go through the department head, then you guys know the process a little bit better. I mean, and you know whether or not, if we had to, let's say they didn't get donations and the cap revolving said, yes, somebody's gonna pay for the payments. Is that out of search and rescue? Is that out of sheriff? So if they could maybe go through you guys, that would be better. They can be at the table and tell us what they need, but if we could do that, then I can make sure it gets on and off where it's supposed to be.
well, I know when Brad was here, him and Michelle went and inventoried all the search and rescue assets. And they were kind of surprised what they did have and what they didn't
Yeah.
have. I think maybe we can get a copy of that list of assets that they did inventory and run it through each search and rescue and have them verify that equipment's there, and maybe some additional equipment. And we darn sure want to have everything insured. And, anyway, I think we ought to pursue that as well.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, to the best of my knowledge, all of the rolling stock, I guess, for lack of a better term, we should be up to date. Anything with the, you know, boats, trailers, trucks, snowmobiles, any motorized vehicles, that should all be up to date and accurate, to the best of my knowledge.
One thing, and just includes all your budgets, but after talking to the coroner last night, she said, expendable stuff like rubber gloves and, you know, safety gear and PPE stuff that she uses, body bags and stuff. The price has just really gone through the roof. And I just wondered if you've noticed a big change in that.
Drawer suppliers, we haven't, and I think we've been working with the wholesaler that, and including the corner, if I understand right, that we're currently trying to work with a wholesaler to bring those costs down even further. That person had reached out to all the county committees, I believe. But we use different equipment in the detentions, the safety supplies in the detention center than we do in out on the road. We use a lot of gloves in the detention center, but they're not the same type of glove.
Anything else for dispatch, search and rescue? Sorry. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
I'll get you those, documents.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good, good.
Good.
Glad
You
to hear.
guys towards the end. I said, I'm catching you guys towards the end of the day.
Oh, no, we still got,
Still got a lot.
yeah, Emma just cracks it with. So one thing we want to get it cleared up, we would like to have more than an occasional visit from UW. I mean, last time we were here, they were here, we talked about funding of a past employee.
Mhm.
That's been a couple, 3 years ago.
Yeah. I'll let them know, we had gone through different, administrators, new associate director, new director of extension. So, yeah,
So we don't know
yeah, we should, have them here.
that. Okay,
That's all.
okay. Sorry to
Oh, it's
throw a
okay.
wrench into it, but we'll let you start with your budget message.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, for the extension department, basically proposing a pretty status quo budget. Overall, we were talking about a 2% increase from what we asked for last year. Just some minor things that equates to about $4,335 increase this year. A lot of that has to do with our increased revenue, just the Farm and Ranch Days event. So we had more attendance, more expenditures, so we increased our revenue stream from 4,000 to 5,000. So that accounts for part of it. We were able to get more donations and sponsorships to cover that, but that's why that increased. And then a few other things that increased that. The big one for us was just the phone system. We had budgeted for that in the past, and that's a extra $1,980 to cover the 5 phone lines in our 2 offices. We also increased a few things, like the UW has proposed I think it's a cost of living adjustment for UW personnel. So the 4-H educator is a split position between the county and UW. So it was 50% of that. They just told us to account for about a 3% increase in that, which equates to about $800 for the county. A few minor things like subscriptions that increased a little bit. That just allows a 4-H educator and ag and natural resources educator to be part of the state and national extension associations. And then the other big one was fuel for us. Just used Steve's multiplier to adjust for that. I think we're going to be a little over on our fuel from what we budgeted last year, just the increased cost of fuel. So we're going to adjust that and move it up. And that basically covers it for us.
Commissioners, questions? So your agriculture reimbursement on your revenues, is that Farm and Ranch Days?
Yep.
Questions?
Just a question, Mr. Chairman.
Just no.
The answer is no. Just to talk of SOC adjustments, we're not asking for one currently, but potentially within the next year, and I didn't know, we did not include that within our budget. Should we have done that? If we're thinking within the next year, do we wait until we apply for SOC or just the direction?
I would say you could do it both ways. Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you include that, then it will be in your budget. But if you don't increase it, we will, I think this, I'm speaking for myself. I think this board is geared to fund another SOC funding mechanism in place. And that funding, if you so choose, would come out of that funding to go directly into your budget.
For
Is that-
next
is that
year,
right?
yeah, if we have room to add another 300,000, I assume you're gonna try to continue that as much as we can. But if there's any changes now before the end of the year, then even though you turn in your budget, if you get it approved, I'll add it to it for you.
Okay,
So,
okay. Yeah, one of our employees is, coming up on 10 years. We hadn't really considered it because she's not there yet, but it's something that's in our foresight, so.
Any questions for extension? Julie?
and they included the phones, so I'm gonna leave yours, I've circled it, but if for some reason we don't all do that, I'll take it back out, so.
Okay, and then for whatever reason, in my budget message, the final number and what's in the chart of accounts isn't quite jiving up. I had some troubles, but it's pretty close.
I thought we fixed this.
I think it's fixed on here, but
Oh, is it supposed to be 206 or 207?
it should be 207, I think, whenever I'm looking at the chart of accounts in, gravity. But on here, it just showed it was 206.
I thought we got that settled with the company before we printed, but I'll take a look.
I'll thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
So where we say it's close enough for government.
So we're gonna brand this weekend. That didn't help us a lot. When should I start giving them your show?
Probably make one here pretty soon.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, Sue.
Yes.
Oh. Thank you.
Emma, I got a question with my computer. This thing does not update my emails. I mean, I won't get today's emails.
Yeah. I have to double check with Amos, because that might be a firewall issue. You know, we've all had some issues with our emails coming through with the process they come for it, so.
Well, our next one's due at 3:30.
I think I told her.
I'm sorry,
I think I told her 3:15.
I might run up, we might take just a 5-minute break until he gets here, and then
Third, fourth.
Oh, yeah. Okay. uh, We'll let you start off with your budget message.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chairman. So my anticipated revenue streams, currently my office has opened up the availability to pay by credit card, and this has allowed for us to take payments on select items to be paid online or at our counter, opening up the availability to have several means to make payments other than check or money. I do not anticipate that we will have much more money. However, it may stay the same as projected in this last budget. We seem to be falling in line, but we do have quite a few more people paying fines and fees. And as we all know, that my office really doesn't create revenue as a source of income.
So it just made it easier to make payments or
Easier to make payments. More people are making the payments because they have the accessibility to do so at farther distances. So
okay. And even they can call in with their credit card number or whatever.
yeah, so I have a very strict policy that we would send them out a payment link so that they are entering in their credit card number. We don't want to have anyone in my office actually taking the credit card number. That should be the sole responsibility of the person making that payment. It just puts risk down, and it's a safer way of doing so. And it counts for, you know, most fines and fees unless specified in a court order that they wouldn't be able to pay by a credit card, that it had to be cash payments, which is very rare. And also the only other outlier to that is, of course, bonds. I wouldn't be able to accept by credit card payment because it says cash on those. So we would accept, you know, the same form of cash from a bank to come in. But other than that, it's baseline. People can call and make those payments, and it has made it accessible.
Ms. Sherry,
Yes.
is there a percentage charge on them too?
There is,
Charge.
yeah, there's a 3% charge. So I do advocate always around it, and try to open up that available line if they choose to get a money order or cashier's check, those type of things. Or if they bring cash to my office, always an availability just to make sure that I'm not blocking anyone from making payments. Expenditure trends. At this time, there are no major expenditure trends that seem to be projected. My office is still filing into paper case filings until there's notice of how the permanent record can be maintained. The average that a printed case file remains to be about the same as last year, and there are no further changes that I anticipate at this time. In reflecting back to the last 3 years, it appears that my budget for printed items, those type of things, are about the same. So nothing's gone up. And I have averaged out, you know, the cost per case to be pretty reasonable at this time, so I don't expect that to go up. The budget changes from last year.
So just hit the highlights. You don't have to read it to us.
Okay. Yeah, so there's not much for the budget change from last year. I know this year, because it's an election year, the elected officials bond is at $100,000 instead of the lower amount. I can't remember what it was, but I put in for that, so that was estimated to be about $1,250. So that went up a little bit, but it will cover the 4 years there. I also put some money into my training budget because the anticipation of being able to train my staff members on upcoming things with the Wyoming District Court Clerks Association is pretty vital. We understand that there's a low standard for what trainings can be done, and we're looking at making sure that everyone in the offices have equal opportunity to train. So whether that be by remote eligibility through the National Association of Court Management, there's a couple of classes on there that can be attained, or if the association actually managed is to get a training group done for our certain offset programs like Posse, File and Serve Express, or Full Court Enterprises. The only other thing as well is this year, I would at least like to go to the National Association of Court Management. It tends to help the clerks across the state, because we're individual and apart from the judicial branch, know what upcoming streams are actually relevant for the national view of the legal field. Or there is a technology conference in December. One of the two I would like to attend, because technology is so huge. It gives us insights to different programs that are available nationwide and what's working best and what loopholes seem to be a problem. It also gives substantial training to things like how to keep our system safe, how to appropriately manage when there's so many attacks coming in via the internet to different agencies that are out there. So that's where the budget line items went up. Other than that, I tried to maintain the same. I know that it does look a little bit bigger, but it was just adjusted for those things.
For the training, where are your options? I'm just curious.
So they have not set out the midwinter conference training for the National Association of Court Management. That's typically around February or March, so that will be opened up. The beauty of that is I do actually intend on applying for a scholarship, which would take care of a good percentage of that cost there. So fingers crossed that I'm magnetic and they like me or something.
Yeah, magnetic.
And so the other one would be in Las Vegas. It is the technology conference. A portion of that I would be willing to, of course, pay for myself, but I'm hoping to actually attend something of that nature due to the fact that we are really moving electronically and understanding the system in web-based programs or cloud-based programs versus what we have right now as server-based programs.
So with that, and I know I probably asked you this before, with you going electronically filing, is most of the nation already there?
Yes, so electronic filing was really a trend that was set out probably in 2008, really started its course in 2005. I know that the Wyoming Judicial Branch worked towards that. So the Clerk of District Court Office has a case management system, which is hosted by the Judicial Branch to maintain for us and get us some of these properties, which is pretty unique in the way that we're not a unified judicial branch. But we decided to do that to try to enforce that option to go to electronic filing easier, because it's easier to maintain one or two systems than to try to conglomerate 23 different counties. So that was the goal. It started then, and it has progressed now to, I think, at the end of 2027, all of the circuit courts will be officially e-filing into the case management system and using the same programs that the district courts are.
Questions, commissioners? Thank you for coming.
Don't feel like I was beat up as much as I thought I would be. You guys are amazing.
Not as much as you've been hopes of, right?
Yeah, well, still subject to change, but I do appreciate your time, and let me know if you have any further questions.
We'll do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Are we doing victim witness? Initial? No.
What's in there? What was?
Oh,
Oh, for Micah, yeah.
We're doing
That's good.
No.
No, he's
District court next.
He's barely, he had a hearing at 2:30. So.
You had all the fun you can stand?
Just pointing to my last stop, nothing. Yeah. Not just playing on those.
That. Yep. Right.
If they had meal benefits, I took them off too, just because I don't know how to calculate that. And it's probably such a small number, it's maybe you want to give those with no benefits. And if, I just don't know how to do that necessarily, but it won't be that big of a deal.
You can't use the one we use on phone. Sure. Any quick, what? Yeah.
Oh, I think
Corporation?
it's after the
Thursday,
district.
Friday. Oh, it's all day Thursday, and Friday.
That's it.
No, it's over at the district, school district,
Oh, okay.
Lander School District, I think.
How are you?
Good, how are you, Chairman?
Good, good. Well, we can start wherever whenever you want to start.
First, well, good afternoon. As you know, my name is Jason Condor. I'm the District Court Judge for the 9th Judicial District here in Fremont County. First, I do want to thank the entire Fremont County Board of Commissioners for all of your support over the past several years. I know it now feels like history, but it's been a big change in the past dealing with COVID, the change in circuit court with the new courtroom, the addition of 2 district courts. Overall, it's been a great success, and I want to say thank you for that. Generally, I would simply say I stand by the budget message. I would make a couple of comments, probably the same thing I say every year. I recognize that times are tight. nobody has money, let alone governments. I remember the impact of COVID with the change in taxation, that it is a huge hit to the county, and I'm not oblivious to that. I want to make sure that everyone is aware the funding I'm asking for is not luxury items. They are statutorily mandated, mainly counsel for parents in abuse and neglect cases, for a child in need of supervisions in Title 25 cases. I won't belabor the point, but Fremont County is one of the busiest standalone districts in the state of Wyoming. Because of that, Judge McKay from Sublette County takes 1 out of every 3 criminal cases, 1 out of every 4 civil cases. She comes every Tuesday. Right now, she's in court in the Kale courtroom. She's there every Tuesday all day with hearings. And so we're doing the work, 1.5 judges with the budget of 1. And so if the budget looks like it's a lot, it's because it's not just 1 district court judge. It is 1.5 judges using 2 courtrooms. As you know, Fremont County is the 3rd highest, busiest district in the state with regard to abuse and neglect in juvenile cases. And that is not weighted. And so we're only behind Natrona County and Laramie County, and they have 4 judges. We have 1. And so we're 3rd in the entire state. As I say every time, I'm not complaining about the workload. I'm not complaining about the work. We just have a lot of cases. A lot of cases means a lot of need to appoint lawyers, a lot of jury trials. As we talked last year, increase in Title 25 is due to the change in the contract. But as always, the 2 biggest contractual or 2 biggest requests are contractual services, paying for attorney and juror fees. I just want to note with regard to jury fees, the juror fee is $30 a day until the trial goes into the 6th day, and then it's $50 a day. These jurors only receive 50 cents a mile. So if a juror comes from Pavilion, Shoshone, or further, Du Bois, they get 50 cents a mile, where everybody else gets the federal 72 cents. But they do it. When they arrive here, we give them snacks. If they're called to serve, they just get jerky, coffee, breakfast burritos, donuts. We treat them right. Some of our trials, if they're juvenile or some civil, we only need 6 jurors. All criminal, most civil require 12 jurors, which means we need 13 because you need what extra for an alternate. So it adds up quickly. I say all of that just because it's important that we've had 5 jury trials this year, brought in a lot of jurors. And it's really been brought home to me that jurors are our friends, they're our family, they're our neighbors. They have busy lives. There's only 2 places where the government can call somebody and say, you now work for us. And that's jury duty and military service. And so I'm a strong believer that people should take their constitutional right to jury service seriously. They should serve, but if we're going to make them do it, we should treat them right. And so I've asked this year for 30,000, which I asked for last year. It was reduced to 2820. Right now, we have had 5 jury trials. We're fortunate that only expended about 19,000. I say fortunate because 2 of those trials were only 6-person. And just last week, a 4-week medical malpractice trial settled. If that did not settle, we would have started a 4-week trial on June 8th going over the 4th of July. And that would have shot us well over what we had left, and I would have had to ask for more. Looking forward, right now we have 19 criminal trials set for July, 20 set in September. It's guesstimated that probably 20 to 25 criminal trials will be set in November, January, March, and May. And those are all 12-person. The reason we don't know is because in criminal trials, they have a speedy trial right. And so if somebody murders somebody today, between now and basically probably January 1st, their trial will be in this fiscal year. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we know that if crimes are committed, they will have to have a jury trial in this fiscal year. We currently have several murder cases coming down the pike that cost extra money because we need to call in extra potential jurors because half the people know about it, half of them can't serve. And so we also have a 3-week medical malpractice trade case in August. We have a 2-week trial, civil, first week in November, another 2-week civil trial, the end of November, 2-week civil trial, 1st of December, 2 weeks mid-February, and then one first week of March civil, and they're all 12-person. The reason we know civil further out, most civil cases are set about 1 year to 2 years in advance. They have to wait in line behind criminal or juvenile. So anyway, I didn't mean to give a big lecture about jury trials. We've just had a lot of them lately. I would note with regard to parents' counsel, currently we only have 2, maybe 3 lawyers that will take the cases when we call them. One of those is in Sublette County, so there's only 2 people in Fremont County that are willing to take our cases. All of them tell us you don't pay us enough. And I said, that's what you can get paid. I guarantee you'll get it. We are, and you graciously boosted it from 75 to 100. So we're the lowest, but we're not the lowest. We're tied for the lowest. And so there are a handful of counties that are $100 an hour, but they're a handful. But I don't know that, I'll leave it at that. With regard to Title 25, we have 2 people that will take those, only 1 here in Fremont County. And so, as you can imagine, it's a mad scramble if something happens to start calling lawyers to see if they'll represent those people. Fortunately, we haven't run out of money. Fortunately, we haven't been able to not find somebody. Everyone stepped up, and we can always get somebody. So anyway, I've overstayed my welcome. But I just wanted to explain a little bit about why I've asked for the same amount as last year. Thank goodness we're going to have extra now that that trial went away. And so of the 28 for jury fees, approximately 9,000 will be remitted, or whatever the phrase is. Counsel fees there will be excess as well. I don't know why this year there were many fewer abuse and neglect cases. I don't know why. I won't speculate, but I don't know that that trend will continue. We can maybe see next year. It's been 1 fiscal year. Once again, I always talk about the GAL fee. At this point, it doesn't matter. As long as you don't hold it against me, I'll pay the neighbor's bill. As long as it doesn't take away from paying the lawyers or the jurors. But that's my number 1 concern, is treating the jurors right. I will also answer any questions you have about budget message trials or any other issues. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, questions?
No question.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, so the lawyer's fees, and I don't know which line that was under, which one is that under, or you were talking where we pay so low, that contractual services?
Correct.
If we were to get somewhere closer to a median number with other counties, what do you think the total budget impact would be to the whole budget? Hey, I mean, I know it's a blank number because you don't know how far you're gonna go up and how many cases there are. I don't know. Just give me a ballpark, I'm thinking.
Well, I would say it would depend. I think one of the biggest problems, and you see this as well, if you hire somebody that charges more, they usually earn more, usually means they're better. They're gonna put more preparation into it, so their bill's gonna be higher. I know that when I call and guilt lawyers that aren't our go-to, their bill's twice as high because they put in extra hours. And generally you can't fault them for it. So I would say minimum of probably 10 to 20,000. But that's speculation. So it could go up. It all depends on how many cases we have, how complex the case is, how involved that becomes. For example, an abuse and neglect case, some can be resolved quickly. If a mother's on controlled substance and a father, the lawyers show up to 3 or 4 hearings, go to some MDT meetings, and the parents get on track, the kids go home, the case is done in 6 months. That's ideal. There's other cases that drag out 2 years, and we change from permanency of reunifying with the family to terminating their parental rights. And those turn into knockdown, drag out, week-long trials that take a lot of money. So it could be all over the map, but 10 to 20 grand.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
follow-up question. So is it all that goes into contractual? What's all in contractual services? Is it
Contractual
that
service,
and GAL or?
Title 25 fees.
Oh,
So it pays for lawyers, attorney representation, guardian ad litems, for the abuse and neglect cases, for the parents' council, Chin's cases, the guardian ad litem, that's the child in need of supervision. And then it's the Title 25 attorney appointments. So, and those cases shot up, but fortunately the abuse and neglect cases went down. And so it sort of balanced out, and I was glad to see that kids are still safe and they haven't brought as many cases, but that's cyclical. Chairman or Commissioner Thomas knows how that goes. Yeah, some weeks where there's nothing and some weeks every 5 minutes. I know that's not a good answer, Commissioner Jones, but I would say at least 10 to 20 grand, depending on who the lawyers are, the cases, it could really fluctuate.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I can ask a question of the commissioners, since we're kind of taking other budgets and putting holder numbers in to talk about at the end, would you guys be open to have that conversation at the end of our budget cycle to add in a $15,000, just to have the conversation of should we add that in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so what that means is we'll leave the budget the way it is. When we get to the end of our budgets, we have a list of items where people wanted to ask for some increases here or there. So that $15,000 will be in that list, and then we'll have a discussion about that at the end of our budget cycle.
Well, thank you. And I would also note, I don't know when the clerk of district court is coming before you. She was going to talk about, or at some point about increasing the mileage fee. I don't know how all that goes for the jurors, the 50 cents a mile to 72 cents a mile. I haven't figured out the impact. She told me about that at one point and I hadn't done the numbers. So I'm just forewarning you or following up.
Yeah, she already came and she didn't
Didn't mention
mention
it, so never mind then.
What, Mr. Chairman, what is our mileage for our employees? What are we at now?
Isn't it the 40 cents if you, is that what it is? 40 cents if the car is available and you don't use it, and 50 cents if it's not available to you or for some reason you have other reasons.
And you're at 50? Sure,
It's 50 cents, so that's what it is.
they're still kind of consistent.
I know we paid, so just to be fair, I know we paid election judges the IRS rate just for the same reason he's struggling, just because we couldn't get people to play. So I mean,
And the IRS
we have gone to a different direction for certain things.
And the IRS rate is the 72 cents.
Yeah, whatever, I think it is, somewhere in there.
I'd certainly like to see what that budget impact would be. So if we can get that, some sort of an estimate from Amanda, and then we can throw that on there too, and have that conversation at the end, see where we're.
I think that'd be great.
And I can get that estimate. It's just
Okay.
adding an extra 20 cents. And I will say that figuring out the juror budget mileage is an accountant's nightmare. So for example, in the April 27th trial, it was a week-long trial in a civil case. That jury, we had almost all the jurors, potential jurors. So we'll bring in a panel of about 40 people, and then we have to winnow and collate down to the 7. But most of them were from Riverton, Shoshone, Pavilion, hardly anywhere from Lander. We had 10 from, or like 5 from Du Bois. Then we had a criminal jury trial last week, and the bulk were from Lander. So some trials will get a whole bunch of Lander people, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's, however, their numbers are literally pulled out of a hat by a computer. And so some trials, it can be super expensive because you get 5 Du Bois jurors, and that 80 each way adds up fast. And if they're in Lander, it's great if they go a mile. But I can run some numbers, just estimate if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
I can do it for the last 2 trials.
Yeah, if you get that,
I'll
kind
send
of an
it
annual increase, what is it, Julie, and then that could be a
a placeholder.
discussion item at the end.
Well, thank you for considering that. I would say that's one of the I don't feel bad so much for the lawyers, it's their job. Everyone else in the system, but the jurors. We had one poor juror last Monday, he stood up and said, I was looking forward to it because they hadn't turned on my water yet. I have 500 acres, I have hay, other crops. And we don't have water turned on, so there's nothing for me to do. I got the call this morning, they're turning it on at noon. Can I please go? And I said, of course. You're not gonna miss your
water.
all of it, but
Especially this year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Use it while you can.
Boy.
it'll be done in a month.
Yeah.
And so that's who shows up, is people there, they have jobs. Some people's jobs don't pay them to be on jury duty. Some people get grieved for being on jury duty. The good thing is every single person that serves, when they're done, they all say, I didn't know how it was done and I'm glad to see it. Kind of like when people come to your meetings. It's not quite like it is on TV,
Right, right. Oh, good.
but I'll answer any other questions and I'll try to do it more succinctly. I apologize.
No, you're good. Any questions? That's good. I think we're good. Thank you. We will address those shortfalls, when we get closer to finishing the budget.
And as I said, I really do always appreciate the help. I know I talked to Ms. Freeze that when we thought the trial was going and we were gonna have to get extra money, I didn't worry we were gonna be in the situation that Sweetwater County was in and all that rigmarole, because we talked about it last year. It was a matter of doing it, coming before you. So although it's a hoop, I never worry about it. So thank you for that. It makes everyone's life easier. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming in and, are you done for the day?
Oh, no, I've got plenty of other stuff to do.
More trials?
No, no more jury trials this week.
Goodness, huh?
A few other trials coming up. We do have the next, as I said, the 3-week trial in August, medical malpractice case, and then criminal trials galore in the summer. And you're always invited to come watch if you ever would like to watch and just see how we pick a jury, see how it's done, see the look on people's faces. You're always welcome to do that. It's an experience. If you can imagine, just 40 to 70 random citizens called in and shell shocked. But it's good to meet them. When we have some crazy stories, I could bore you if you have time. I always have to tell this story. We had one fellow, he came in and he was complaining a lot. It's hard to tell if somebody just wants off jury duty or they've got real issues. And so we took a break and we couldn't find him. Every single juror came back except juror number, whatever, 57. And his shirt was hanging on the railing. And we thought, where in the hell's he gone? So we've gone every direction. We're looking for juror 54. Finally, we find him outside wandering around. And then we knew something was really up. And we called him back in and took him in chambers so we don't have to talk to him in front of the group, but the lawyers were on the record. And I said, juror number 54, do you know where you are? And he said, I think I'm at the courthouse. I said, you are? I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking for my beer. I stashed it before I came in this morning and now I can't find it.
Oh,
And that's when I realized, you do smell a little funny. Didn't somebody notice this? So we let him go, but he was looking for his beer. We've had some other adventures as well.
So that's how you get out of it. Hey.
That's pretty simple.
You'd be surprised.
Good Lord, I've done jury duty. Chris, I've been called 2 times since I've been in office. And I'm thinking my odds will be up when I retire next year. I'll be available. I won't have any excuses whatsoever. Yeah, we'll get called then.
Well, Judge Young got called for the last trial.
Oh,
that
really?
he had, so
Oh, that's funny.
it grabbed everyone.
Sure.
No, it actually went away before he did it.
Oh,
so. But I would say if you guys ever want to come up, you're more than welcome. I know it's a little off topic, but I talked to Mylan Vintage about the doors and locks and I know Commissioner Jones, we like all the security stuff before we talked to him, and we're actually on the same page. We always have been. We just didn't communicate well.
Right.
We had ships go in the same direction. We just forgot to roll down the window and dock. So
I think putting Mylan in that. One of the best things we've done in several years is like, oh, we have this resource and so He is doing a great job getting in the middle of it.
So we're good, and we haven't had any security issues. We did have a random vagrant sleeping under the parking area, but we got that taken care of. You wouldn't think the things that happen here after hours, we're in the middle of the day.
Oh, yeah.
They came in the middle of the day, parked and put up a sunshade and started sleeping in Judge McKay's parking spot.
Cool.
Like, huh? They're the things that happen.
Jeez. Wow.
Well, I won't bore you with any stories.
All right.
Come and watch sometime. You're always invited.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you
thanks.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
Man.
Thanks for coming down.
The first time you get done before I'm supposed to start.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's a good average.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for getting in early. Too.
You bet.
Next time we eat cake, though, I'll have to bring it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to make one for them.
So. Are we getting the county attorney?
It's coming up before.
Did,
Is it the victim witness?
That's his,
that's it.
that's
Is
his,
that the one he's coming in for?
for his budget and the victim witness, both.
So I don't have it, so,
Oh, you don't have,
No,
oh,
I
that's
don't
right.
either.
no.
I have a victim witness.
Is that supposed to make copies? Here's some right here.
Come on, Emma.
Witness.
They trained us to go in there.
So there, answer. Victim witness, I did put out because
I got that.
but the attorney should be the very first one on the list.
Oh. Oh, that one that says attorney,
Yeah.
but it's not in order,
It's not in order because I,
alphabetical.
no, because I just don't know how to count.
Obviously, I can't read the
I
damn
think I
file.
Do we need to
Ten
take
on
copies
that
of
or
this?
eleven?
But how did you get them?
Okay,
They've got
Okay.
it, so-
okay. You go.
Austin, I emailed you, so you should have the link.
Okay.
No problem.
I'll get to another call. Take care, girl.
See ya.
Thank you.
So who was that gal that was here last week?
Hey, buddy. Who was the gal that was here last week? Was she with you?
Oh, I was out of town, so yes, probably that was our other reporter.
Yeah.
All right. So
For your patience and I'm not too late here. I think I got out in pretty good time.
do you want to start with the attorney's budget or
Victim one.
victim witness?
Well, at the commission's discretion, I'm okay with either one.
Let's start at county attorneys.
It's just fine.
Okay. Do you want to go through your budget message and just the highlights or?
Well, I think in general, I'm not, that far off where I was last year, with respect to the county attorney's budget. The, major difference being that I had one deputy that was making, I think, $98,000 who left the office at this point in time. And I would only hire that position at, I think I listing at $86,000. I have another juvenile position, which has been filled by a girl who's graduating from the Wyoming Law School in this month. They've already taken place at this point in time. And, but she'll need to study for, take, and hopefully pass the Wyoming State Bar before she's eligible for employment. I have asked her, and I might ask, when the time comes, the Board of County Commission to approve her conditional hiring in the month of August. So August, September, and October, work is vastly reduced rate of pay. Can't remember what it would be off the top of my head. So that she can get her feet underneath her while she's waiting for her partner. All of that said, even that position will come in under what it is currently budgeted at, with respect to the upcoming fiscal year. And I'm still working on filling my additional deputy position. I don't know if that's going to get filled this year or not. I'll work on it. But attracting people to the county hasn't exactly been their easiest sort of circumstances this past year. If I'm able to fill that juvenile position, if this attorney works out, that will take a lot of stress off the office and in general, myself to be specific, which I know is budgetary related, but I think it relates directly to the budget. Apart from a few adjustments upward that I've made on office supplies and other general expenses based just upon simple prognostication concerning world events, which may affect some of those things, specifically office supplies. I don't have any major additions to my budget for this year. Essentially similar to what I had from last year. Which I already know I came in certainly under budget with respect to salaries for deputies.
So we can bring the mic up a little bit.
Well, I'll bring myself to it.
Actually, bring that up pretty close to you as well.
Just pull on it.
I don't want to break it.
Oh, maybe it should.
In past times I sat here and felt like it didn't want to come closer to me, so this is better. How's that?
Good, well, that's better, thank you.
So that's the long and the short of the county attorney's office budget for the upcoming year. I'm not looking at any increases with respect to personnel. If anything, I'll probably end up requesting budget for that additional deputy position. And not foreseeing it be filled before the end of the year, and there will still be a reduction for the juvenile position as well, but I'm requesting those at full budget, just, because if I have them filled, I'd be fully staffed, and we'd be able to tackle our tasks with a little bit better, a little bit deeper bench, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. That's the long and short of the attorney budget this year. Yes,
And it adds up, but I don't know why it adds up. You have nothing in any line items besides salaries and benefits. But it adds up to that 1,434,000, and that's your 1.5, so I guess you're 110,000 off, but there, I don't see it in gravity either, but it's not on here, so like you don't have any service agreements, rental payments, advertising, jurors, training, office supplies, both money.
or I thought I put numbers in for those.
Nope, well, I thought because this hasn't always worked out, so I just was checking that out. I don't have any numbers in here.
Oh,
So.
well, I was here until about midnight last night putting those in, so I don't know what I did wrong, and I apologize.
That's okay. I mean, if you can, it looks like you did the stuff from, from this year that says how much you're going to spend, but it doesn't say how much you want for next year. I just want to make sure you have what you need in there.
Transfer, so.
No. That's true, no, but there.
I mean, I guess then I need access back, because like
Okay.
I said, I stayed there till midnight last night doing this.
We'll look at this before you leave over here. But I think you just found. So it's back to editing.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I just want to make sure you get what you
Me too,
need.
thank you.
So one question I have, if
Sure.
you have, if that proposed new employee that's not yet to pass their bar,
Yes, sir.
if that employee works out, we hear all the time that everybody's just they're working so hard that they don't have time to do anything but work. I mean, pretty much.
In my office,
From
sir.
here on.
Thank you, yes.
And, it's very frustrating for me because it doesn't seem like we are, well, I'll just put it out there. It doesn't seem to me that we are being represented like we should be.
Well,
Every day.
perhaps you can give me more detail.
Okay,
Sure.
well, every time I ask, the conversation and the proceedings that went on with Fair Board. And, since you represent both Fair Board and the commissioners, couldn't represent that. And it's similar to that with the library board. And now we're having an additional case that we just found out that we can't be represented on that. And I mean, I gotta tell you, when I ask for something, we asked for a letter to the Attorney General's office to be written for their opinion. And I called to see if that letter was written last week. And in fact, they were working on it. But in the same conversation, it was said, well, we're part of the big firm, the Attorney General's office, and we won't be able to represent you on this either. Well, and then we had a deal that, and it's frustrating for me because we had to deal with our major's property. And we asked the past leasing if he would give up his 30 days to his lease, even though it wasn't farming unit or anything like that. I asked to write a letter to be written. And the letter was written, but no follow-up. And when I called about it, I was told, well, you can call him. Well, hell yeah, I can call him. I mean, I know the guy, but it shouldn't be me that has to follow up. That's just my frustration.
I understand your frustration, Mr. Chairman, I do.
Yeah,
It sounds like this is a personnel question, however, unless related to what my budget is, if that's what the board would like to discuss, you know, we certainly can.
well, I don't think right now is the time to have that discussion. I think maybe we can invite you back and we go into executive session and have that discussion, but I mean,
And just with respect to it, there's obviously two potential answers.
right,
One is that the individual currently filling the position is not able to do the workload that is required. The other is that he is able to do the workload required, but the workload that he's being requested to fulfill is more than he can personally fulfill, in which case I would have to ask for additional staff. Now,
Right.
filling that staff is another question, but that, I mean,
so and instead of going, I mean, I probably went too deep into it now, but I think, I think we need to set up a meeting and have executive session just between the commissioners and Julie and Emma and have that where we can talk freely.
I'm open to that discussion without a doubt.
Yes,
That would be my concern. Are you so overwhelmed, everybody? Just too much. Now,
and
that's what we need to find out. We need to, if we need help.
I don't believe the entire office is, but certainly two of my deputies and myself, yes, we are.
and that's, I mean,
That's where I'm.
that's where kind of partially where I was going. I mean, if you're that covered up with that person that's coming in, is that enough? Or should you ask for another attorney to help out with the case?
Quite possibly. I mean, I'll be frank with everyone here at the table. I've had my deputy position open since I took the job. They haven't been able to fill that specifically. I brought Mr. Weck on last summer, which would have been, but in the meantime, I lost two additional deputies, one while I was down for medical reasons and another in the fall on his own particular actions. In my attempts to fill all of those deputy positions, I've received a variety of responses from applicants. One being that the amount of salary offered would make it monetarily feasible for individuals to move to Fremont County. That's been three responses. Two potential applicants later indicated to me their belief that employment associated with government in Wyoming currently was not, they didn't deem it stable because of political upheaval within the state and issues with funding. And so they declined to even fill out an application based on that perception, whether that's right or wrong. That's been the perception of two applicants. I've made great strides to be able to increase our presence at the University of Wyoming to potentially be able to tap the field there. But even the administrators at the University of Wyoming have indicated to me that their efforts to fill seats with out-of-state law degree candidates, because they pay more in tuition, have made it such that the majority of their graduates, graduate and leave the state. So I'm operating at a pretty drastic disadvantage with respect to employment pool. I don't get to just grab anybody off the street, and probably thankfully so. But even if I were to add an additional position for a civil deputy, my immediate question is, where do I get that person? Fremont County hasn't seen a new attorney move in since Nikki Horton came back. And before her, there was only one between 2019, when I first arrived here, and when she came in, I think it was 2022. That person is in private practice and hasn't ever had any interest in working with the county government. So I understand, I share the board's concerns, and you started speaking, Mr. Chairman, I knew exactly what you were talking about. I have many of the same concerns. I'd like to get to the bottom of the issue with that aspect of my representation of the board, because I know that's important. But if the answer comes up that I need an additional attorney, I'm still left with those same issues.
So in order to attract attorneys, how much more of an increase, say from the 97.5? Let's
Well,
just say 95,000.
I don't have anybody but one deputy making that amount. And then my chief deputy makes 125 to my
Right.
recollection. All the rest are under 90,000, I believe.
Deputy county attorney is 97.5,
That's Mr. Martin.
and
Probably shouldn't say
deputy
that.
county 83.5.
Correct.
Deputy county 85, and then
Correct.
deputy county 94.6.
I'm not certain who the 4/6 is, but I agree. In general, I've been starting, I mean, when I started this job in 2019, I think I started at $62,000 a year. Which I was happy to make, because I was coming from circumstances where that looked pretty good, and I really liked moving here and making this my home. For all the reasons listed above, that's certainly, I think, not really feasible to be offering people coming out of an education that can easily cost them $80,000 to $100,000 to get, even in the state of Wyoming, if they're running off of strictly loans. Just increasing the money doesn't necessarily solve all of my problems with recruiting. It might make us competitive within the state. I think if the Board of County Commissioners were to do a study with regards to what other offices pay, I think you'd find us competitive, and that I'm certainly proud of. But there's counties that pay more, without a doubt. To some extent, I'm befuddled as to why I still have an open deputy position at the current rate of pay, and I'll just be frank.
Is it possibly the cost of living here?
I am certain, I'll go ahead and repeat the question.
Is it possible of the cost of living here?
I'm certain that had an issue in at least one of the potential applicants who took a look at the pay and the cost of living around here and determined that it wasn't going to be financially feasible. Yes, I do think
Yeah.
cost of housing specifically was an issue.
That's, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can have that discussion. I don't know.
And I'd be happy to.
If there's something that we can do to help you attract more applicants and, you know, I'm willing to look at that, but
Certainly.
you can't continue on working day and night, and I know the caseload is incredible, but
No, I agree. And I mean, I sit in this chair with recent history reminder of the incidents that happened in Laramie County, where a county attorney, a district attorney, I think in that case, took it upon herself to demonstrate to the people who paid her salary that her caseload was too large, and she did so by essentially cutting that purposefully, not filing cases, dismissing cases, and she was disbarred for that behavior. And I'm not going to put myself in that position.
okay. All right, I got sidetracked and I apologize.
I appreciate the sidetrack. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Commissioners, questions on the attorney's budget?
So I did find out what happened. I'm fixing it for you.
Thank you. I probably did something wrong. Thank you,
I think
Julie.
you put it in the estimated, but I can tell that, so I'm going to fix it for you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I think we need to continue the conversation,
Be happy to.
because you can't continue like this.
No, I agree.
And
Anything further on the attorney's budget? Julie will give us the updated one and we'll be good. All right, let's go to victim witness initial budget.
Did, Commissioners, did you receive, I forwarded on an email, my, coordinator usually puts together her own budget and forwards it to me. Did you receive that document?
We have this one.
Yes. Correct, Mr. Chairman.
So you currently have a coordinator, a specialist one and a specialist two.
I currently have a coordinator and a specialist one. They, I was informed 10 days ago that we've received our award notification from a state grant that the department, our victim witness department applied for, and they have provided funding for an additional position. So I added a third for upcoming year. Essentially, and I think that the head of this sort of sub-department within the county attorney's office is to be commended for her work on that grant. She got everything she asked for, which was an ample award that she received for the year. But most importantly, I think I'll remind the Board of County Commissioners, I was in here maybe a month ago, possibly 6 weeks ago, asking for your promise that we could at least attempt to seek that grant funding for an additional position. Obviously, you had given your approval for the same, and that's why I've listed an additional position in the budget for the upcoming year.
So that grant covers the entire victim witness program?
It does not. It's a portion. Essentially, what has always happened historically is that the grant covers a certain percentage of the costs of the program, and the county has, come forward and met the other portion of those costs.
Mr. Chairman, that looks to be, what she said up here for the match, looks like 27,121.75, which is a little bit up from last year. And then also Jim helps her with a budget that will look like this too, but
Okay.
this is a start for that. And then, so in the bottom line was this transfer to victims of crime on his budget. Actually, it's gonna be more than that, so I'll have to ask Jim how to work that out. I'm gonna put 27 in there for right now, but I think it's gonna be more like 50 with, it must be double that. I might double it for now and then we'll see what,
So our share would be about.
well, it was 50,867 from the attorney's budget. So it's gotta be, it's a little bit up from last year on halves, so it's gotta be like probably double, so I'll fix that number to be double right now, and then when Jim looks at it with his victim witness person, we'll get that for sure. But that's about what we put from the county side.
Well, congratulations on getting the grant.
I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Questions on victim witness?
No, have none.
Okay, well, we will wait till Jim gets back and we can work with your victim witness person and we'll go from there.
Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, go home and get some rest.
Yeah, you look exhausted.
Thank you for coming in.
Well, it wasn't just this work. I was sticking around for I had other stuff too, but I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anything further for this board? Recap.
I will let Mr. Kids know, we have that on the as well.
Commissioners.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you all.
So.